Stop for a second and listen closely, because this is not one of those messages you hear and forget 5 minutes later. Out of all the noise, all the scrolling, all the distractions, you landed here for a reason, and before this is over, something inside you is going to make sense in a way it never has before. There is a person in your life right now who feels much more for you than they have ever said. They act unsure, they go quiet, they step back, then somehow drift close again. It feels confusing, maybe even painful. But there is a hidden reason for it. And no, it is not because you are not enough. It is because one detail about your appearance stirs something deep inside them that they are not ready to face. Stay with me, because the truth is not what your fear has been whispering to you. This is bigger than looks, bigger than surface attraction, bigger than anything shallow. By the end of this, you may see yourself differently, and you may finally understand why this person cannot fully walk away from you even when they try. So do not skip ahead. The next part matters more than you think, and what you hear tonight may change the way you carry your heart from this moment on. There is someone, one very specific person, who truly cares for you more deeply than you realize right now. When the room gets quiet, their thoughts return to you. When they are busy, your memory still slips through. When they try to focus on other people, something in them compares every face, every voice, every moment back to you without asking permission first. They replay little things you said. They remember how you looked during small moments you probably forgot. They search for meaning in your silence. They wonder how you really feel, even when they pretend none of it affects them. And yet there is still this wall inside them, still this hesitation, still this inner battle they do not know how to explain. Before your mind turns cruel and starts building stories about rejection, hear this clearly. The thing that troubles them is not your lack of beauty. It is not a flaw the world taught you to hate. It is not some harsh judgment they are secretly holding against you. It is something more emotional than that, something deeper, something that lives underneath the surface. In a strange and powerful way, the very thing they are struggling to understand about your appearance is also the thing pulling them closer every single day. Yes, closer, not away. So keep listening, because if you have ever doubted your worth because of how you look, this message is going to hit somewhere very real. This person sees things in you that most people miss completely. Other people may notice your smile, but they notice the heaviness hiding behind it. Other people may hear your laugh, but they hear the tiredness underneath it too. While most people look at someone for a second and move on, this person takes in every small detail as if it means something important, and that is exactly what unsettles them. Loving you does not feel light to them. It feels dangerous. It feels exposing. It feels like standing too close to a truth they were not prepared to meet. You carry a presence that makes people feel seen, even when you say very little. You have a way of revealing what is real in a room without trying, and the part of your appearance that shakes them is not only physical, it is what that detail says about your soul. Maybe it is the weariness in your eyes that tells a story of battles you never talk about. Maybe it is the way your confidence seems to protect a softer wound. Maybe it is the quiet insecurity you think nobody notices, but they notice it every single time. They noticed all of it, every hidden signal, every fragile detail. And it moved them more than they expected, because they were ready for something simple, something easy, something they could control. Then you appeared, and suddenly nothing about their emotions felt simple anymore. There are moments when this person looks at your photos longer than they should. Not because they are judging you, not because they are searching for something wrong. They are trying to understand why your face, your expression, your energy make them feel emotions they cannot neatly explain. Part of them wants to move toward you with complete honesty. Another part wants to hide, because your appearance carries something rare. It carries truth. It carries softness. It carries reality. And people who spent years protecting themselves behind masks are often shaken by anyone who feels that real. Listen carefully, because this matters. The thing they are struggling to accept is not that you are imperfect. It is that you are genuine in a world that rewards performance. Do you understand how unusual that is now? So much of this world is built on filters, polished versions, rehearsed confidence, empty charm, and feelings that never go deep. But when they look at you, they do not see performance, they see a person, a real one. They see honesty in your face, they see emotion you cannot fully hide, and that kind of truth forces people to face themselves. That is why this connection has felt intense from the start. That is why they come close and then go silent. That is why their energy shifts in ways that make no sense on the outside. Because each time they look at you, they feel something they cannot control, and that loss of control frightens them more than they want to admit. And here is what you need to know before doubt talks louder than truth. This person is not confused because they feel nothing. They are confused because they feel too much. Something is building inside them slowly, quietly, almost against their own will. Their walls are not holding the way they used to. Their usual defenses are beginning to crack. Very soon, something small will happen between you. Maybe it will be a look that lasts 1 second too long. Maybe it will be an unexpected message. Maybe it will be a quiet pause where both of you feel more than either of you says. It may seem tiny from the outside, but inside, it will shift everything. And when that moment comes, you will understand why they acted distant all this time. They were afraid that caring for you would wake up old pain in them, afraid that your honesty would expose parts of themselves they have tried hard to keep hidden, afraid that someone as real as you could see past every defense they built. Stay with me now, because this next truth goes deeper. They remember little details about your appearance with almost painful clarity. The way your eyes drop when you are hurt but trying not to show it. The way your face softens when you finally feel understood. The way your expression changes in that 1 silent second before emotion returns behind the wall. These things replay in their mind more often than they want, and they hate how powerless it makes them feel. Love does not knock politely and wait for someone to feel prepared. It arrives when it wants, quietly, suddenly, deeply. And now this person is caught between resisting what they feel and stepping into it fully. But the reason for their struggle is even more personal than you think. The detail about your appearance that stays in their mind is connected to a wound they carry from the past. You remind them of feelings they buried long ago, not because you did anything wrong, not because you caused pain, but because something about your presence wakes up an old tenderness they thought had gone numb. That is why they go still around you sometimes. That is why they become awkward, quiet, or emotionally overloaded in your presence. It is not rejection, it is fear mixed with undeniable love. And once they finally admit that truth to themselves, everything inside them will begin to change. Their silence will not feel the same. Their actions will shift. Their energy will become more direct, more honest, more impossible to hide. Deep down, they already know you are not replaceable. No one else carries your exact energy. No one else reaches them in this way. No one else makes them feel both calm and terrified at the same time. Even while they are struggling now, their heart is already leaning toward you in ways their mind cannot stop. And if you have spent too much time blaming yourself, I need you to hear this next part carefully, because it may be the one thing your heart has needed for a very long time. You have questioned your worth for too long because of appearance-based insecurities. Too long. You have been taught to believe that love belongs first to perfection, to polished faces, to people who never look tired, never look wounded, never show the marks of living. But real love does not begin there. It begins when someone recognizes something true. This person recognizes something rare in you, something unforgettable, something impossible to fake. That is why, even when they try to create distance, their emotions return. Even when they force themselves to step back, your presence remains with them in quiet moments, in late hours, in the middle of ordinary days that suddenly feel heavier because you crossed their mind again. And right now, whether you can sense it or not, a shift is already happening. Their resistance is weakening. Their feelings are growing stronger. Day by day, bit by bit, the truth is becoming harder for them to deny. Soon, they will have to make a choice. Keep hiding from what is real, or finally admit that they love you deeply, not in spite of the one thing about your appearance that affects them, but in part because of it. Because that detail does not make you less lovable. It makes you human. It makes you believable. It makes you feel safe in a world that often feels false. And when that realization fully lands in them, it will become very hard for them to keep looking away. There is also something they have never said out loud, not even to themselves in a complete sentence. When they are around everyone else, they seem steady, collected, unbothered. They know how to carry themselves. They know how to act like they are in control. But when it comes to you, that balance slips. Their thoughts get louder. Their feelings become harder to manage. Their heart loses its calm rhythm and starts reacting before logic can catch up. And the strange part is that it all starts from one detail about your appearance they cannot stop returning to. Not because it pushes them away, but because it pulls them in too close. Maybe it is the softness in your eyes when you pretend you are fine. Maybe it is the hidden loneliness behind the way you carry yourself. Maybe it is the way your face reveals silent emotion before your words ever do. Whatever it is, they know this is not simple attraction. This is emotional recognition. This is the feeling of seeing someone and sensing that they carry a truth you have been searching for without knowing it. Stay with me, because this matters. There are times when they try to convince themselves they can move on. They stay busy. They distract themselves. They start conversations that do not mean much. They try to place other faces where your memory lives. But somehow every road circles back to you. Every time. Because what your appearance carries is not fantasy. It is reality. And real connection is far harder to escape than temporary attraction. Do you know what scares people more than rejection? It is not being ignored. It is not being misunderstood. It is meeting someone who reaches the soul too quickly. That is what happened here. When they met you, something inside them woke up. Your presence touched parts of them they thought would stay asleep forever. That is why they watch you differently. That is why their eyes hesitate. That is why their mood changes around you without clear explanation. Because your appearance woke an old feeling in them, a mix of sadness, comfort, longing, and recognition that they were not prepared to feel again. Think about that. This person remembers the first real moment they noticed you. You may have thought it was ordinary. You may have moved through that day without giving it much meaning, but for them, something shifted. In one brief moment, they saw something in your face, your eyes, your energy that felt painfully familiar to their heart. A quiet sadness, a gentle strength. A kind of softness that does not ask for attention but stays with people long after they leave. From that point on, they were not the same. Their heart began attaching itself to you in ways they could not control. That is why they keep trying to hide the depth of what they feel, because if they fully admit it, then they also have to admit that you matter to them in a way very few people ever have. And that truth is much heavier than they expected to carry. Sometimes they pull away because your beauty feels too emotional for them. Not beauty in the shallow sense. Not the kind measured by strangers. I mean the kind of beauty that carries meaning. The kind that stays in a person's thoughts at midnight. The kind that makes silence feel full instead of empty. The kind that changes people slowly even when they are resisting every step of the process. Very soon, this person is going to reveal more than they intended. It may not begin with a grand confession. It may begin with a softer sign, a message sent at the wrong hour, a look they forget to hide, a moment of honesty that slips through when their guard is low. And when it happens, you will understand something that once felt impossible to read. They were never sitting there judging your appearance. They were battling their own emotions. They were trying to protect themselves from becoming vulnerable, because deep down they already knew you were not like everyone else. They also worry, more than you realize, that you do not fully see your own value. They notice how often you are hard on yourself. They notice the way you hide certain insecurities behind a smile. They notice when you step back because you fear being misunderstood. And each time they see that, their feelings deepen because your imperfections do not make you smaller in their eyes. They make you real. They make you human. They make you unforgettable. So if your heart has been telling you that your flaws are the reason love keeps missing you, let that lie break here. Late at night, when there is no noise left to distract them, one question keeps coming back to this person again and again. What if I lose them? That thought follows them more than they would ever admit out loud. Because despite the confusion, despite the distance, despite the fear they keep wrapping around themselves, their heart has already chosen something. It has chosen you. That is why your appearance affects them so deeply. Not because it is flawed, but because it carries emotional truth they cannot ignore. You remind them that love is not about appearing perfect. It is about feeling understood in a world where so few people truly are. And you make them feel understood in ways almost no one else has. The distance between you is not permanent. The silence is not permanent either. The uncertainty will not stay like this forever. A turning point is coming. And when it arrives, this person will stop pretending they are untouched by what exists between you. They will stop hiding inside emotional walls that no longer protect them. They will stop running from a connection that keeps finding them no matter how far they step. Some people enter your life for a season, others leave a mark on your soul. And whether they admit it now or later, you have already become unforgettable to them. That is the truth they are trying to outrun. That is why even their distance still feels connected. That is why even their silence feels full. And the more they fight this, the more obvious it becomes that their heart is already far deeper in than they planned. You were not meant to hear this by accident. The signs have become too strong to ignore. There is a person watching your silence more carefully than your words. A person pretending to remain detached while secretly growing more attached with every passing day. They have tried to control it. They told themselves it was temporary. They tried to explain it away with logic. They tried to shrink it into something manageable. But each time they see you, all of that falls apart again. Because there is one thing about your appearance they cannot emotionally escape. Not because it disturbs them, but because it reaches places in them that no one else can reach. The truth they have been hiding is simple and terrifying at the same time. They are afraid that if they fully accept how much you affect them, they will never be able to let you go. That is the real fear. Listen carefully. Every time you walk into a room, something in them changes instantly. Their eyes search for you without thinking. Their emotions react before their mind can build a defense. And what hurts them most is knowing you likely do not see any of this. From your side, they may look calm, maybe even distant, but inside, it is not calm at all. Inside, it is noise. Inside, it is tension. Inside, it is a storm between wanting to hide and wanting to reach for you with complete honesty. Stay until the end, because the next truth brings the whole picture into focus. The feature they struggle with most is connected to vulnerability. Maybe it is the softness in your eyes. Maybe it is the tired expression you wear when life has been heavy. Maybe it is the quiet sadness behind your smile. The kind most people miss because they are not really looking. Whatever it is, it awakens a deep, protective feeling in them. And that feeling scares them more than almost anything else because once someone starts caring deeply, they also risk hurting deeply. That is why they sometimes step back without warning. It is not because the feeling faded, it is because it became more real than they expected. There are nights when they replay moments with you over and over. Not the loud moments, not the obvious ones, the small ones, the way you looked away before answering, the way your face changed for 1 second when emotion crossed it, the way your eyes said something your mouth never did. Those tiny details stayed with them. They cannot shake them. And the reason they cannot shake them is because your appearance speaks emotional truths even when you are trying to stay composed. That is why this person is struggling so much. They were taught to expect temporary people, temporary attention, temporary feelings. Then you came into their life carrying sincerity in your eyes, and suddenly their heart no longer knows how to stay protected. It is learning, slowly and painfully, that what feels real cannot be treated like everything else, and that lesson is changing them more than they expected. They compare other people to you without even meaning to. They try to talk to someone else, they try to move forward, they try to distract themselves with different conversations, different faces, different routines, but something always feels missing. No one else carries the same emotional presence. No one else makes quiet moments feel charged with meaning. No one else leaves such a strong memory behind simply by being themselves, and deep down, they know that. More than ever, they know it. Here is the truth almost no one sees coming. The thing they struggle to accept about your appearance is also the very thing that makes them trust you. Your imperfections make you believable. Your natural emotion makes you comforting. Your honesty makes you safe. In a world filled with people trying to look flawless, you feel human. And human feels rare now. Human feels healing. Human feels like home to a heart that has spent too long around surfaces. That is why they keep returning emotionally even when they try to create physical distance. Some part of them feels calm around you in a way they cannot manufacture anywhere else, and the signs are already starting to show. Their attention is becoming harder to hide. Their behavior is changing in small but clear ways. Their walls are not as strong as they were before. The truth is pressing closer. Soon it will hurt them more to hide it than to speak it. And when that moment arrives, all the confusing pieces will suddenly begin to fit together. You will understand the long looks, the sudden silence, the restless energy, the way they kept circling back without fully stepping in. This connection is not ending in confusion. It is moving toward clarity. Even if the path looks messy right now, it is moving toward emotional truth. It is moving toward that moment when this person stops fighting what their heart has already known for a long time. You became important to them in a way they did not plan for and cannot undo. And once someone reaches that level of attachment, life does not go back to normal. Something remains changed. Something remains marked. Some people enter gently but leave permanent prints on the soul, and that is exactly what happened here. Whether they say it today, tomorrow, or weeks from now, one truth already lives inside them. Loving you changed them. Not in a small way, in a deep way, in the kind of way that shifts how they see people, closeness, trust, and themselves. So if you have been carrying shame about your looks, if you have believed that your tired eyes, your softness, your sadness, your human edges make you harder to love, hear this clearly. Those are not the reasons love has trouble reaching you. For the right person, those are the signs that lead them straight to you. Those are the details that make you memorable. Those are the details that make you feel real enough to be trusted, real enough to be missed, real enough to be loved deeply. Stay with this truth. Let it settle. Because the next time you question your worth, you need to remember that what is genuine often frightens people before it heals them. And there is one more thing you should not ignore. While this person is still wrestling with their fear, their heart keeps moving in only one direction, toward you. Their mind may pause, their pride may hesitate, their past may whisper warnings, but their feelings keep returning to the same place, to your face, your energy, your presence, your quiet truth. They may not have the courage yet to say everything clearly, but their inner world is already shifting in ways that cannot be reversed. That is why this message found you now, to remind you that being real is not a weakness. Looking like you have lived, felt, struggled, healed, and survived is not something to hide. It is part of what makes your presence so powerful. It is part of what breaks through someone else's carefully built walls. So if this touched something in you, hold on to that feeling, because what is meant for you does not always arrive in a loud way. Sometimes it comes through glances, pauses, distance that secretly carries longing, and silence that is full of unsaid truth. This story is still moving. This heart is still waking up. And very soon the person who has been trying so hard to control what they feel may no longer be able to hide it at all. When that happens, you will finally see that the thing you once feared was too much about you was never the problem. It was the reason your presence stayed with them, the reason they could not forget you, the reason love, no matter how much they resisted it, kept choosing your name in the quiet.